So far we have explained how with the rotation of four wheels of success, chakra, somebody chakra, it becomes a decisive support for the cultivation of one physical, verbal, mental behaviors, so that they become pure and cultivated, and only pure mind stream arises in your mind. And whoever possesses such wheels, one he or she will be able to possess prudence, right attitude, right attention, known as Yoniso Manasikara, so that though one may come into contact with objects which arouse impurities, kilesa, there will not arise kilesas or impurities. Instead, only pure mind stream will develop continuously. This was explained in accordance with the Buddha Desana, the teachings of the Buddha. And those who give attention to this talk are bound to gain benefits out of it. And this, where did this subject come out from? This subject came out from the talk on establishment, anaditana and aditana. Establishing, if one is properly established or firmly established, then one is said to be diligent or heedful in a subtle way. And if one is not properly established or firmly established, then one is said to be heedless or negligent in a subtle way. So now it is the turn to deal with the subject of ananuyogo and anuyogo. That is, ananuyogo means not exertion, without the exertion of energy. One is lax, that is pamada, in a subtle way, and anuyoga is exertion of energy, which is a subtle heedfulness. Also, we are to discuss this topic. However, there are some yogis who might feel some doubtful about the fellow yogis, some dissatisfaction among fellow yogis, dissatisfaction about the teachers. And if such dissatisfaction arises in the yogis, then they can obstruct, they can be in the way of progress, they can obstruct the progress in the practice, so that they can not progress in the practice. So such things can happen. If such things exist, then one has to try to do away with such things, such doubts or dissatisfaction. If one can do away with such things which can obstruct your progress, then you are bound to gain the samadhi and jnana in an extraordinary manner during the rest of the retreat. Therefore, today, Sarah would like to talk about these two things, both from theoretical and practical aspects, Ceto Khila and perhaps Ceto Vidibanda. These two things, first we will deal with Ceto Vinibanda, meaning they are the states or things which can bind you or imprison you, so that you cannot move about freely. And as for the second one, still with Chitta Vinipanna. In the practice of high-level discipline towards the liberation from suffering, you cannot move about freely. There's no freedom of movement or freedom of practice. Instead, you are bound or tied down so that you cannot move freely. That is what is meant by Chitta Vinipanna. And as for the second one, Chitta Khila, they are obstructions, mental obstructions to your practice, so that you cannot, in your practice, mental obstructions in your practice, as such is Chitta Khila. Secondly, strong and powerful attachment to oneself. 3, powerful attachment to visible objects, external objects. 4thly, enjoying life, such as eating as much as you wish to your belly full, and then just roll in the bed, sleep, turning sideways, this side, that side, not wishing to get up. That is the 4th one, laziness, in other words. 5th is the practice of these 3 trainings are for the sake of future life, just for the sake of future life. This also is a form of attachment. As to the first one, the first of these Chitta Vinipanna, mental bondages, the first is a strong attachment to 5 causes of sense pleasures, sense objects, kama gunas. These sense objects are of 2 kinds, or sense of pleasures are of 2 kinds, namely Vattu Kama and Kilesa Kama. Vattu Kama means pleasant, desirable objects, pleasurable visible object, pleasurable sound, pleasurable smell, and so forth. All these pleasant, desirable objects come under Vattu Kama. They are desirable objects. This is objective defilement. And Kilesa Kama, this is subjective defilement, desiring. So you need 2 things to enjoy. Just one alone will not lead to enjoyment. This Kilesa Kama means desiring, strongly desiring, craving for these objects. In this way we have 2 things, Vattu Kama and Kilesa Kama. One is objective and the other is subjective defilements. These tend to bind the beings, hence they are known as Chitta Vinipanna, mental bondages, so that they are bound down or they tie down, so that they cannot escape from suffering, from the rounds of rebirth. As to the second one of this mental bondage, Chitta Vinipanna, one is attached to oneself very strongly, in terms of whole body and also in terms of the individual parts such as face, hands, eyes, eyelashes, cheek, teeth, hands, nails, whatnot. You can name it. And you have to look after them, not only the whole body, but individual parts. Very time consuming. And because you have attachment to yourself and to these individual parts, particular parts, in the practice of this Satipatthana, where you risk your body and life and take risks and exert strong energy, you cannot do it. You cannot bear the pain. You cannot bear this weariness, mental weariness, physical tiredness. You are afraid of pain. Too much self-regard. You don't want to suffer, especially in this practice, in the practice where you have to without regard to your body and life. You have to risk your even life. Too much of self-regard, so that you don't take risks, such as the second part of this Citta Vinibbana, mental bondage. The third one is too much attachment to external objects. The second one is internal objects, yourself and the particular parts of the body. This time the third one is attachment to the external objects, especially opposite sex. You take interest and become attached to the opposite sex, so that you become inseparable, and not wishing to part with it, unforsakable. In the practice of high-level discipline, for guaranteed happiness, you are weak. You don't want to take risks. You don't want to exert energy because of lack of interest, because of too much interest in the external objects, thinking that they are the real pleasures, so that you cannot practice to attain the genuine pleasure. In this way, you are said to be bound down to these things. Your mind is bound down because of too much of regard to other objects. So because you have too much regard to other objects, you have less regard for your practice. Such is a form of mental bondage. The fourth one is regarding food. Taking food to the belly full, and because your belly is full, you feel very sleepy, and you just crash out, lie down, and roll in the bed. Sometimes while you may be nodding while sitting, because you have too much food in the belly. And when you're in bed, you may be rolling this side, that side, and will not wish to get up when the time comes for you to get up. The practice is to get up early and undertake sit or walk, but you say to yourself, "Oh, it is too early yet." So you just feeling slothful, half asleep. You mean stretching your limbs because you are feeling tired. So thinking that, saying to yourself, it's very early, you don't want to start your practice. And if you feel hot, you may be fanning yourself and cooling yourself down to be comfortable. And if you are feeling cold, you warm yourself up, rolling yourself in the blankets, and thinking that these are real pleasures, becoming attached to such pleasures, not wishing to exert energy, and such is another mental bondage. The last and the fifth one is thinking to yourself this kind of practice, brahmacharya, noble abiding, good practice such as sila, moral conduct, you're sustaining moral conduct in order to be reborn for a rebirth in heaven, in the Deva world. You have become attached to such planes, existence in such planes. That is your target, instead of wishing for the high level, lofty pleasure, lofty happiness, peace and happiness. Instead of that, you are having a very inferior objective instead of superior objective. And in this way you are highly attached to such existences as a result of your practice. and hence this is also another mental bondage.
အခုပြောခဲ့တဲ့၅မျိုးလုံးဟာတာယာတတ်မဲ့မှုအားကြီးတဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေ
All these five things happen when one is a strong desire for such things, too much attachment to such things, so that one will not wish to part with them. Very greedy, too much lobha. Because of this attachment, one does not part with them, thinking that these are the real pleasures. And so the mind does not incline to the practice of high-level satipatthana. Even if one practices in the very beginning this arambhadhatu, initial application of energy, the one is weak. One is weak from the very start. And then also in the continuing succeeding practice, succeeding times also, one is not strong enough. The energy is not strong enough for continued practice. Not being able to note continuously in accordance with the saying Sakacha Kriyaya, noting continuously. The mind should incline to noting continuously. For instance, you are standing from sitting position, you should note first your wish to stand, intending or wishing to stand, and wishing to stand, standing, wishing to stand, standing. They all happen in stages. Every time intention happens, there is the standing process. And doing it slowly so that the mindfulness is continuous. And when you are sitting from standing position also, when you are doing sitting, first intention to sit, then sitting, with the intention. With every intention, with every moment of intention, there is this stage of standing. So they are continuous. So, because one is so much attached, so much regard for body and life, one cannot take interest in the practice where you have to practice without regard to your body and life. And there was lack of interest. So, even if you start in the beginning, because of the attachment, then you cannot practice energetically because too much regard, so that you cannot free yourself from this bondage. Hence the name Ceto Vinibana, mental bondage. So you have to analyze yourself whether you have such kind of mental bondage or not. If so, if you have, then try to free yourself from such mental bondage. As for the second part, that is Ceto Kila, there are 5 kinds, meaning mental obstructions. Be they monk or yogis, if they have doubts about the Buddha, the Dhamma and the Sangha, and doubt about one's own practice, not being satisfied, not being happy with the fellow yogis and the teachers. In this way we have 5 kinds of mental obstructions. In essence, these 2 things excuse me, boil down to excuse me, boils down to two things, Vicikicca and Koda. Vicikicca means skeptical doubt, and Koda means anger or ill will. Doubt about the Buddha means doubt about his whole body and person, and doubt about his qualities. That because he has purified, he has purified of all kilesas to the point of no return. Kilesas in terms of raga, dosa, moha. Because as a result of that, he commands respect from all beings, veneration from all beings. Purification of kilesa is the cause, and the respect of all beings is the result. So you have the cause and effect, and one becomes doubtful about the quality possessed by the Buddha. Doubtful because this is the truth is out of reach of one's intelligence. One cannot understand it. That's why one cannot venerate the Buddha. As regards the doubt about the Buddha in person, that is doubt about whether the Buddha possesses these Mahapurisa Lakshanas, the signs of a great man. There are 32 parts which he possessed. That's why he is such a venerable person, graceful to look at, and one has doubt about it. Is it true or not? So because of one's doubt, one cannot venerate him. As to the quality is just mentioned regarding this purification of kilesas and the commanding respect, which should be enough. However, in the text is given that doubt about the quality means doubt about his omniscient knowledge, Savinyuta Jnana, being able to see or know the past, present and the future events. So one cannot come to a confirmation. One is not confident about it, so one cannot venerate him in this respect. Doubt about the quality of the Dhamma. That Dhamma is the method, the practice to sustain, uplift, helps, bears the Dhamma bearer, practitioner, so as not to degrade him, so that he is not degenerated, only he is uplifted. So doubt about this quality, doubt about the quality, doubt about the present existence of the correct method, the method to practice, and then if the practice is undertaken to realize, to attain such and such a stage, doubt about that. And then also by just listening the Dhamma, with just listening the Dhamma, one can be free of impurities, one can be free of one's worries and mental distress. And if one undertakes the practice, one can realize the happiness, samatha sukha, happiness of tranquility, meditation, vipassana sukha, happiness of insight. You can realize these two kinds of happiness, happiness of tranquility and happiness of insight. So this is if one undertakes the practice. And if one is able to, the Dhamma has the quality of cultivating the mind and insight, bring about the real happiness which is good in itself without any admixture. In the case of worldly pleasures, they always come in mixtures, never alone, never in the pure state. But this Dhamma gives pleasure without any admixture, and this is unforsakable, inseparable. You don't want to part with it, and you have doubt about it. And if you are able to practice to the end, you are bound to attain the path in consciousness and be free from suffering. And you have doubt about it. And you have doubt about the Dhamma, that it is good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end. If one listens to a small extent, you can get good things. You can experience good result in a small way. And if you listen to a large extent, you can realize in a large way. So you have doubt about it. You have doubt about the goodness of the Dhamma in the beginning, the middle, and the end. So is that also one has doubt about the practice of such a thing as Satipatthana Bhavana in the Dhamma, which gives rise to the high level result, lofty result, so that you cannot confide in it, you cannot accept it, come to a confirmation, you cannot venerate it. Hence, it obstructs your practice, so that there cannot be any progress, because this doubt, skeptical doubt, is preventing you from progressing. Now, as for the yogis who are practicing for some, the saying, in accordance with the saying, guard yourself with vigilant mindfulness of every arising of these four kinds of objects: kaya, vedana, citta, dhamma, objects of the body, sensations, mind, and general objects. Every time these four kinds of objects arise, one should note continuously in order to deepen your concentration and cultivate knowledge, so that progressing along the path, one can realize the final path. So one has doubt whether such a thing can happen. And the Buddha has assuringly declared at the beginning of the great discourse on the mindfulness, is it correct that such things can happen? Or watching the abdomen, is it correct to watch the abdomen and just note rising and falling? Can it bring about the deep concentration and knowledge? Because rising and falling has not been mentioned in the literatures. Is it the right method? Is the method correct? One cannot come to a decision. One cannot come to faith. Does this practice lead to concentration and knowledge? And is it correct that by being fulfilled with insight, one can attain path and fruition knowledge and reach the state of cessation? Even if one thinks that it is correct, okay, let's say this is correct, I accept. But have I the capacity to undertake that practice? So this is another doubt upon oneself, one's own capacity. So these come under mental obstructions, Chitta Kila. As regards the mental obstructions, towards Sangha, doubt about Sangha, is there any such thing as community of monks who practice Sila, Samadhi, Panya, the three trainings to overcome defilements, Raga, Dosa, Moha? Is there any such individuals, community, who eradicates kilesas just in a small way, and to some extent, and to a full extent? Are there any such individuals? Are there any such community? And maybe it's false, or just hearsay, and one cannot come to a confidence, one cannot come to confirmation, resolution, and veneration. Such is doubt about Sangha, which can obstruct your mind. And from the beginning, they are not born Buddhists, or they have not faith in the Buddha Sasana in the beginning. They may find this Buddha and Sangha as the cult of the personality. You're just worshipping the cults or worshipping the persons. But if they are free from doubt about the Dhamma, the reasonable Dhamma, that if you practice, you can get results in the form of peace. So if you are free from doubt about the Dhamma, then you are free from doubt about the Buddha who has preached the Dhamma. Then you come to accept that because you practice to eradicate or overcome kilesas or subdue kilesas, you can also have faith in the individuals such as the Sangha who have practiced to eradicate or overcome the kilesas in their own right. Automatically you come to have faith in the Buddha and Sangha if you have faith in the Dhamma. So if you are free from doubt about the Dhamma, then it is alright. But most people have doubt about the Dhamma. Is this method correct? What we have practiced is different. Make comparisons and criticizing, and cannot come to a decision. So that time is wasted in entertaining doubts. In this regard, during the Buddha's time, there was a Brahmin hermit who came to the Buddha and said that there are many kinds of doctrines, beliefs, faiths. Everybody says different faith, different doctrines, a variety of doctrines. Difficult to come to a decision. I feel doubtful. Maybe he was doubtful about the Dhamma at that time. So at that the Buddha said that, well, if there is too much doubt and very critical about everything, I, Buddha myself, as a Buddha, cannot help such persons. So if the Buddha cannot help such persons, how can Sayadaw help such persons who are doubtful of everything, cannot come to a decision in anything? Doubt about the Sekha, the trainings. The three trainings, namely Adhi-sila, high moral conduct, Adhi-citta, high mental conduct, concentration, and Adhi-panya, high level panya, wisdom. There are three things. There are, for instance, ordinary sila and sila which excels ordinary sila, excellent sila, superior sila. And then you have the ordinary concentration, samadhi, that is superior concentration, step by step, more and more superior concentrations. Are there such things as discriminating knowledge, the superior discriminating panya, knowledge, wisdom? Are there such things? It's doubtful whether this is correct or not. One cannot come to a decision. One cannot come to a faith. And because one is doubtful, the mind is said to become very hard, not soft enough, not accepting, non-accepting. That is what I say, hard mind. So that becomes obstruction, mental obstruction, cetokila, dissatisfaction with one's own fellow meditators or even teachers. Because normally you are not cultivated yourself to maturity, so that you are weak in mental energy, you lack stamina, power of repelling, you're weak in concentration, energy of concentration, you're weak in panya, so that you tend to become dissatisfied, you're affected, you become upset about anything. So you tend to become upset, and this kind of mentality can be simmering all the time in your mind. Such also is hardness of the mind, not being soft, hence the Chito Kila, mental obstruction. As regards dissatisfaction and disappointment with fellow yogis, because you all are sitting and working in the same hall, your neighbors in a way, and there can be clashes among yourself, because one may be sitting, another may be walking, making a noise, and you cannot bear it. So you may say, oh, while I sit, he or she starts walking. Why? He or she should walk elsewhere, not near me. So instead of noting whatever noise, whatever disturbance comes, all these things like kilesas, you are affected, you become angry, disappointed, saying or mentally saying that he or she has no regard for me. So why make a noise, and why come and walk near me? That sort of thing. So instead of noting them, noting all these things as hearing, or seeing, because your samadhi is disrupted, you are dissatisfied. Such things also can happen. He doesn't say that it's happening in you. Can happen. That's the nature of the practice. Sometimes somebody opens or closes a door, making a noise. Then also you are upset. You jump. Oh, this person is not closing and opening doors slowly. What kind of person is he or she? That sort of thing. And you may become upset easily. Same thing with the teachers. When the teachers are interviewing the yogis, sometimes some yogis tend to report for a long time, long reports, and they want the teachers to bear it, to be patient, or listening to what they are saying. If the teacher says, "Oh, the time is up," that's all, then all the interpreter or translator or the teacher says like that, oh, she is upset. In the middle of it, I'm reporting what's happening in me, not my imagination. It's my real experience. See, the teacher stopped me in the middle of it, very much upset. Such things can happen. So that your mind becomes very rough at that time. Even if somebody comes and comfort you, you don't want to accept it. The mind cannot become softened, so that it becomes like a thorn. A thorn can pierce your body when it comes to whatever comes in contact with it, comes in touch with it. The thorn will pierce you, pricks you, so that you feel pricky and upset. So this is called mental thorn or mental obstructions, chitokilas. So it doesn't mean that the yogis who are here are happening this. It's happening in the yogis, but you're saying this. Such things can happen. It's the nature of the practice. So if such things happen, please note and overcome these obstructions and feel patient about it. Whoever possesses or has these 10 things, 5 Citta Vinibandha and 5 Citta Kila, 5 mental bondages and 5 mental obstructions, and cannot overcome these, cannot be free from this, be they monks or laity. And the Buddha said in the text, bhikkhu. Bhikkhu also means lay people included. One cannot prosper in the Buddha Sasana. Whoever has mental obstructions and mental bondages. Only those who can overcome these will prosper in the Buddha Sasana. So such person is failing in the practice of the Dhamma in all matters because he or she is lax and not being able to observe what should be observed, abstain what should be abstain. Failing in omission and commission. Such people are known as pamada vihari, living with heedlessness or negligence or negligent people. The worst is that fatalism, that is, I will not gain any megaphala nibbana, path fruition and nibbana in this life. It's impossible. Such person, likita dura, I will just content with simple meritorious deeds such as dana, sila. That should be enough. Though they have the paramis or they have perfections and they have the possibility of gaining the path fruition knowledge because they have this kind of fatalism. I should say fatalism. That they don't take any interest in bhavana, and just such people will only suffer. And there are many such people in the world. The essence is 3 things. That is tanha or lobha, attachment or greed. That's one thing. Another thing is ill will or anger, dosa. And the third one is not having faith about the truth and having vicikiccha, doubt about the truth. That is because one is not able to understand the truth. That's why one has doubt about the truth. If one knows the truth, then one will come to acceptance and there will be no more doubts about the truth. So then one will come to real decision, confirmation. So doubt is due to not being able to understand the truth. Because one cannot understand the truth, one still entertains doubts. So one has to practice to understand the truth. Then there will be no doubts. Once one understands the truth, there will be no more doubts, no more skillful doubts, and one will come to instill faith with one's own empirical knowledge. And nobody has to come and urge you to have faith or to be free of doubt. You will come to accept automatically by yourself. So there is practice of choice in order to overcome. In essence, one is overcome by these 3 things: lobha, dosa, moha. And the practice to overcome these is satipatthana, practice of the choice. It's to be free from citta kila and citta vinibandha, mental bondage and mental obstructions. The Buddha has said that the only way to overcome this is the practice of satipatthana. That's why the Buddha urges all beings to undertake the practice of satipatthana. So Satipatthana is the only method to overcome these things. And once you are able to cultivate knowledge with the practice of mindfulness, with precision and energetically, cultivate knowledge, beginning with the discernment of mind and body and the conditionality, and then if one continues to practice understanding the universal characteristics such as impermanence and so on, there will be more and more faith, especially when one experiences the fleeting momentary nature of experience. Then nobody needs to come and urge you to believe, to have faith in it. You yourself will come to accept it. And if only you progress through the inside knowledge and reach cessation, then you say to yourself, this is it, with your own empirical knowledge. Then you will have faith in the Dhamma. If you have faith in the Dhamma, you will have faith in the Buddha who has preached the Dhamma. There will be no doubt about it. Then you will have faith in the Sangha who has overcome kilesas in their own right. And you will have faith in your own practice, own training. And you will possess faith. And you possess patience and tolerance. Previous to the practice, you may not be able to tolerate. Now you are able to possess this power of forbearance, and you can be patient about anything. Then you will be able to solve such problems. So that it is said that if for those who practice Vipassana, we will be able to inspire faith, sada. And if one is able to cultivate knowledge, then there will be faith with one's own empirical knowledge by oneself. So one becomes free of doubt, and if one cultivates knowledge, there will be no lobha, dosa and moha. This way you will be free from mental obstructions and mental bondages, so that your life becomes very straight and simplified, and your life becomes fulfilled. Understanding this, you should think yourself as being fortunate to be able to undertake this practice, and so I urges you to practice, to guard your mind with vigilant mindfulness of every arising, and so that you'll be free from these 10 mental obstructions and mental bondages. Sadhu.